People always said I had it all. A picture-perfect wife, a sweet little kid, and a life most men would kill for. But let me tell you something about pictures. They don't show the cracks, the things rotting underneath the surface. What you see is the glossy frame. What I lived was a nightmare. For years, I convinced myself I was the luckiest guy in the world. My wife, Emily, was everyone's favorite person, beautiful, charming, and effortlessly magnetic. At dinner parties, she could make strangers laugh with ease. And people would come up to me afterwards, saying, "You're so lucky to have her." And you know what? I believed them. I believed I didn't deserve her, and maybe that was the first mistake. Our friends adored her. To them, she was a super mom, the kind of woman who could do it all. But what they didn't see was how that glow dimmed the second we were alone. I'll admit it now, I ignored the red flags back then. I called them my insecurities. Every time she rolled her eyes at something I said, every time she cut me off mid-sentence in front of our friends. I told myself I was overreacting. Don't be so sensitive, I'd think. She's just joking. But jokes aren't supposed to feel like daggers, are they? Emily had this gift, or maybe it was a skill, for making people believe what she wanted them to believe. In public, she was perfect. At home, she was different. A dismissive laugh when I tried to share an idea. A constant reminder in her tone and her words that I wasn't good enough. And over time, I believed her. I became so afraid of losing her that I clung tighter, trying harder to make her happy. But nothing ever seemed to be enough. I didn't realize it back then, but she wasn't just eroding my confidence. She was building a world where she held all the power. And I was too blind, or maybe too scared, to see it. And that's how the cracks in our perfect life began to grow. Cracks that I didn't know would soon shatter everything. I'll never forget the first time I started questioning her loyalty. One evening, her phone buzzed on the coffee table while she was in the kitchen. I glanced over, not planning to invade her privacy, but the message preview caught my eye. It was from an unsaved number, and the words froze me. "Let's meet tomorrow when your husband is away, dress sexy." My heart started pounding. The thread was short, but it was enough. Whoever this person was, they were more than a friend. When she came back into the room, I couldn't stop myself. "Who's texting you?" I asked, my voice trembling despite my efforts to stay calm. Her expression didn't even flicker. Instead, she gave me a puzzled look, like I'd just spoken a foreign language. "What are you talking about?" she said, her tone so casual it made me second-guess myself for a split second. I held up her phone. The messages from the unsaved number. That's when the storm hit. She didn't try to deny it, at least not outright. Instead, she deflected with precision, her voice rising with indignation. "Are you seriously checking my phone now? Do you even hear yourself? This is why we have problems, you know that. You don't trust me." I stammered, trying to keep my composure. "It's not about trust, the messages." But she didn't let me finish. She laughed and shook her head. "You're paranoid, always looking for something that isn't there. Maybe you should think about why you feel the need to control everything I do." By the time the conversation ended, I was the one apologizing. I don't even know how it happened, but she flipped the entire situation so effectively that I started doubting myself. Was I being paranoid? Was I overthinking things? She had this way of twisting reality until I didn't know which way was up. That night wasn't an isolated incident. Over time, her words and actions became more calculated. Whenever I tried to bring up my concerns, she'd cut me down with lines that felt like knives. She'd say things like, "You're so insecure, it's exhausting." Or, "I'm the only one who could ever put up with you." And I believed her. That's the worst part. I believed every word. She made me feel like I wasn't good enough, like I was lucky she hadn't already walked out. Slowly but surely, She chipped away at my confidence until there wasn't much of it left. But the hardest part was how she used our child to keep me in line. She knew how much I loved being a dad, how much I'd do anything to protect that bond. And she weaponized it. If you can't trust me, she'd say, maybe you don't deserve to be around our child. Those words hit harder than anything else. The thought of losing my place in my child's life was unbearable, and she knew it. That's how she kept me trapped. During those years, the only person I felt I could turn to was my best friend. He was my rock, my sounding board. I'd vent to him about the constant arguments, the guilt, the feeling of being trapped in my own home. And he always listened. He'd tell me things like, "You're not crazy, man. You're doing your best. She's the one making this hard." Or, "You're a good dad, don't let her take that from you." His words felt like a lifeline when everything else seemed to be falling apart. He'd even joke sometimes, trying to lighten the mood. "If she doesn't see how good she's got it with you, that's her loss." Looking back, those moments with him were the only times I felt truly understood. Like someone had my back. He encouraged me to stand up for myself, to prioritize my happiness. "You deserve better," he'd say, and I believed him. That period of my life was like living in a fog. I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't find my way out. Between her manipulations and his comforting lies, I felt trapped, alone, and utterly powerless. If I'd known then what I know now, maybe I would have fought back harder. Or maybe I would have left sooner. But at the time, I thought I was doing the right thing. Holding on for the sake of my child, for the sake of my family. Now I see it for what it was. A carefully constructed web of lies designed to keep me exactly where they wanted me. And the worst part is, I didn't even see it coming. I'll never forget the night I learned the truth, or at least part of it. It was late, past midnight. I had just finished working in my home office and was heading downstairs to grab a drink of water when I heard her voice. She was whispering, but it wasn't the tone she usually used with me. It was soft, playful, almost flirty. I stopped in my tracks, confused. At first, I thought she might be on the phone with a friend. But as I got closer, the words became clearer. "I miss you. I hate that we can't see each other right now." There was a pause, and then she laughed softly, but with a kind of warmth I hadn't heard in years. My stomach dropped. I couldn't move at first. My feet felt glued to the floor. My mind scrambling to make sense of what I was hearing. Who was she talking to, and why was she saying things like that? I stepped into the living room. She was sitting on the couch, her back to me, completely engrossed in the conversation. "Who are you talking to?" I said. My voice was calm, but inside, I was shaking. She jumped, fumbling with her phone before quickly putting it down on the coffee table. "No one," she stammered, not even bothering to look me in the eye, "just a work thing." "A work thing at midnight, really?" I stepped closer, my eyes fixed on her. I heard what you said, so why don't you just tell me the truth?" Her face changed, like a mask slipping. For a moment, I thought she might deny it, might try to explain it away. But instead, she crossed her arms and glared at me. "And what if I was talking to someone?" she snapped. "What are you going to do about it?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. No apology, no guilt, just defiance. "I can't keep doing this," I said finally. "I can't stay in a marriage where I'm constantly questioning your loyalty. Where I don't even feel like I matter to you anymore." She laughed. "Oh, please," she said, "you're not going anywhere. You think you can just leave? Do you even realize what that would mean for you, for us?" She leaned forward, her eyes sharp and unrelenting. "If you try to leave, I will ruin you," she said. "I'll tell everyone you're unstable, unfit to be a father. I'll take our child, and you'll never see them again. Do you understand me?" I didn't know what to say. I just stood there, staring at her, feeling the weight of her words settle in my chest. She wasn't bluffing. I could see it in her eyes. She meant every word. After a moment, she stood up and walked past me, her shoulder brushing mine as she headed upstairs. "Good night," she said coldly, as if we'd just had a normal conversation. That night, I didn't sleep. I just lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything she'd said, every threat, every accusation. I felt trapped, like I was stuck in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Was she right? Would she really ruin me if I left? Could she take my child away? Would everyone believe her version of the story? For the first time, I wondered if I was the problem. Was I being selfish for wanting out? Was I a bad father for even considering leaving? Those questions haunted me night after night. It wasn't until weeks later, after another screaming match, that something inside me snapped. I couldn't live like this anymore, not for her, not even for the child I adored. If I stayed, I'd lose myself completely. I decided to tell someone, my best friend, I trusted, someone I thought could help me see things clearly. I poured my heart out, admitting everything I'd been too afraid to say out loud. And he said something I wasn't ready to hear but desperately needed. "You deserve better, you can't stay in this." Those words stuck with me. They echoed in my mind every time I thought about backing down. Every time her threats rang in my ears. The next day, I made the call. I found a lawyer and started the process of filing for divorce. It wasn't easy, but for the first time in years, I felt like I was fighting for myself. I knew it wouldn't be simple. I knew she would come at me with everything she had. But at least now, I was ready to face it. When I finally decided to file for divorce, I thought the hardest part was behind me. I thought the worst thing I'd endured was living with someone who made me feel invisible in my own home. I was wrong. The divorce was worse. It started with her accusations. She wasn't content to simply part ways. She wanted to destroy me. She told the court I was an unfit father. She said I was neglectful, that I had a temper, and that I wasn't capable of taking care of our child. None of it was true, but she told the lies with such conviction that they sounded real, even to me sometimes. She even brought up moments from years ago, twisting them to make me look bad. Like the time I was late picking up our child from daycare because of a work emergency. She painted it as me being irresponsible and careless, not someone trying to juggle a demanding job to support his family. Her words were sharp, and they worked. Every hearing felt like I was being dragged through the mud with no way to defend myself. If the emotional attacks weren't enough, she made sure to hit me where it hurt most, my finances. By the time I'd filed for divorce, she had drained our joint accounts. Every dollar I'd worked hard to save was gone. I thought we were building a future together, but apparently, she had other plans. I had to scramble to cover legal fees just to keep up with the court proceedings. I sold personal belongings, things I'd worked years to afford, just to pay for a lawyer. Some nights, I couldn't even sleep because I was so worried about how I'd keep the lights on. Meanwhile, she seemed to thrive, spending money freely and flaunting her lifestyle, as though the chaos she'd created didn't exist. The only thing that kept me going was my best friend. He was there day and night, offering advice and listening when I needed to vent. He'd tell me to keep my head up, that I'd get through this, that the truth would come out eventually. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He'd been my anchor through all of this. But she didn't stop at the courts or my wallet. She went after my reputation. She told mutual friends I'd been unfaithful. She said I'd abandoned our child emotionally and financially. I couldn't believe the stories she was spinning. I'd spent years sacrificing everything for our family, and now she was erasing all of that with her lies. At first, I thought people would see through her. I thought they knew me well enough to understand that none of this was true. But the thing about lies is that if someone tells them often enough and with enough confidence, people start to believe them. Friends I'd known for years began distancing themselves. They didn't want to choose sides, they said, but by not choosing, they already had. It felt like I was living in a fishbowl, with everyone watching my life fall apart but no one stepping in to help. Everywhere I went, I felt judged. I stopped going out as much, afraid of running into someone who had heard her version of events. The isolation was crushing. It was like I was losing everything. My family, my friends, my dignity, all at once. And the worst part? She seemed to thrive in all of it. She carried on as though she was the victim. She smiled and laughed in public while I was barely holding it together in private. Months after the divorce was finalized, I finally began to feel like I could breathe again. The chaos of court hearings, accusations, and heartbreak was behind me. I had started piecing my life back together, a new apartment, new routines, and the hope that maybe I could find peace again. Then one evening, I got an email from her. I remember the moment I saw her name pop up in my inbox, my stomach tightened. Part of me wanted to delete it right away, but curiosity got the better of me. I clicked it. Her words were casual, like she was writing to an old acquaintance, instead of someone she had torn apart. She started by admitting, in the coldest way possible, that she had manipulated me into staying in the marriage. According to her, I wasn't her husband, I was her provider. I was there to pay the bills, to offer stability, while she entertained herself elsewhere. Then came the next blow. The child I had loved, raised, and fought to keep in my life wasn't mine. She wrote it like it was nothing, as if it were just another fact to tick off a list. She explained that my best friend, the one person I had leaned on during my darkest moments, was the biological father. And then, as if that wasn't enough, she ended the email with a twist. She thanked me, sarcastically, for all the years I had spent supporting her, both financially and emotionally. She mocked me for being too blind to see what was happening right under my nose. I remember sitting there, staring at the screen, feeling like my entire body had gone numb. But that numbness didn't last long. First, it felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. How could she do this to me? How could he do this to me? The one person I had trusted most, the one who had told me I deserved better, he was part of it all. Looking back, it's all so clear. The moments when I confided in my best friend about my suspicions. He would listen, nod, and tell me I was doing the right thing by leaving her. He encouraged me to end the marriage, and now I see the irony. He wasn't helping me, he was protecting himself. He wanted the marriage to end because it made it easier for them to be together. I replayed every conversation, every interaction, and suddenly, they all felt tainted. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. This wasn't just deceit, it was calculated. They had planned this, they had manipulated me, not just individually, but together. I was nothing more than a pawn in their twisted game. But as much as the anger burned, I knew I couldn't stay in that place forever. Anger is exhausting, it eats away at you, and I had already lost enough. To anyone watching this, let me say this. If you ever find yourself in a situation like mine, don't stay silent. Trust your instincts, speak up, walk away if you have to. Silence doesn't protect you, it only protects the people who are hurting you. And don't let betrayal define you. Yes, it hurts, yes, it changes you, but it doesn't have to destroy you. In the end, I wasn't the fool for trusting, I was the fool for staying silent. But silence no longer has a place in my life.